Welcome to this edition of On the Scene. I'm your host, Tim Kelly. On today's program, we're going to be talking about a recent green infrastructure planning grant that the City of Suffolk received. We'll talk about the grant and what impacts it may have on the City of Suffolk. Also, we're going to highlight the Suffolk Art League and the Suffolk Art Gallery and some of the events and activities that are taking place over there courtesy of the Art League. Some really interesting things you're going to want to tap into. Stay tuned. Welcome back to On the Scene, joined now by two very special guests to talk about a very clean topic. We're talking about green infrastructure, and to talk about this topic, we have Karen Firehawk, who's the Executive Director with the Green Infrastructure Center. Thank you for being with us. And Claire Jones, who is with our Suffolk Planning and Community Development Department. And Claire is the Comprehensive Planning Manager, again, with the Planning Department. And again, Claire, thank you for being with us as well.
Thank you.
All right, well, the first question is, we're talking about green infrastructure. What is green infrastructure? What are we talking about when we use those terms?
Sure. Well, it's kind of a planning jargon term, unfortunately, but what it means is I'll start out with gray infrastructure. We all know what that is: roads, power lines, and pipelines, all the things we need for civil society.
Right.
Well, we use the term green infrastructure because we want cities to also think about those natural resources that also provide important functions.
Sure.
So, for example, in Suffolk, how many trees do they have in Suffolk? How well are those trees helping us take up stormwater, provide oxygen, shade city streets so asphalt lasts longer, and also create natural beauty? So if we think about those things as part of our infrastructure, we can plan for them.
Very good. Now, you're with the Green Infrastructure Center, Executive Director, as we said. What does the Green Infrastructure Center do?
What do we do?
Yes.
We are an environmental nonprofit, and we help local governments, land trusts, and conservation groups use data to make better informed decisions. So the good news is there's a lot of new data out there,
Right.
but a lot of times local governments don't know how to access it, or they don't have the advanced software to process the data to
Right.
answer that question: how many trees do we have?
Right. Right.
What's their extent? How much stormwater management are they providing? So we do a lot of that analysis and then help them make the case for this work. We do a lot of research and a lot of demonstration implementation.
Very good. Now, of course, while we have both of these ladies here for today to talk to us, a grant, City of Suffolk has awarded I believe, $10,000 grant through the Green Infrastructure Center. Now, of course, we'll be partnering together, and you talk about all the resources that your organization brings. We're going to be able to tap into that courtesy of this grant, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
So no money will actually change hands.
Correct.
We'll provide technical assistance, and we'll be working with the local community to help understand what their priorities are, what's important to them, using our comprehensive plan and past planning documents to inform what direction do we take, what's most important for the city. We want to create information that's really useful to you in daily decision making.
Now, how do you and your team go about collecting this data? I mean, is it literally one tree, two tree, three trees? Or again, how does that process work? I
Well,
know it's more scientific than that, but
Well, I don't know. Some
Tree counts are good.
We can do, that could be something that comes up, that somebody wants to do a neighborhood tree inventory,
Sure.
and sometimes we do those with master gardeners or
Yeah.
master naturalists. But we actually use satellite imagery and
Yep.
process that data to then we can zoom in and say, that's a tree, that's a building, this
Right.
is pavement. And that doesn't sound very exciting, but we can actually determine your stormwater runoff problems, think about how much pollution might be getting into the Nansemond, think about ways we could make the city more livable. So a lot of that data that comes from space, and then some of it comes from the city itself.
Right.
correct.
The data that the city has, but we combine it and analyze it in new ways and paint sometimes a new picture that even though you've looked at this city your whole life, you
Right.
see a new way of looking at something.
Well, it's interesting, you talk about the satellite view, if you will. I mean, how,
Yes.
again, the world looks completely different from there than what we're used to on a certainly a linear level. Now, how long does this process take? You start today, theoretically. When do you finish, or does it ever really end with a project like this?
Well, what we're not doing is we're not creating a plan that someone puts on a shelf
Right.
next to other plans they didn't get around to doing. So this is really creating a whole new set of data that will go right into the planning department. We may create some web maps that citizens can look at. So we'll see kind of what tools are most appropriate. But then when you get, say, a subdivision plan or somebody's looking at rezoning, you might click on some of these data layers and say, oh, look, I didn't know this is here, that's here. Here's some other considerations. Or if you're working on long-range planning, where do we need more parks? Or where is the city more paved and hot, and we would like to add some infiltration and some shade. So it's both for long-range planning and day-to-day planning.
Now, we talk about the collection of data and getting all this together, again, for the multitude of uses. But Claire, if you could talk a little bit about how you and the planning department and the city of Suffolk as a whole see the impact and certainly the great usefulness that this data will possibly be able to be utilized for.
Well, as Karen said, it's kind of better data, it's more data
Right.
for better decision making. We provided them with our GIS layers that we currently have.
Right.
They give us a fresh perspective, and then they can also go and add some of those, like if they actually go out and
Sure.
count trees. And then it would be useful for a lot of applications, stormwater management, development review. Karen gave an example of that.
Right.
Our comprehensive plan, parks and rec planning, individual neighborhood plans.
Right.
So there are a lot of applications for this data, and it's really a win-win. There's no lose for
Definitely.
the city.
Now, I know one part of this, and I know you previously had a citizen community forum. Talk about just the citizen role in this as far as where do the people come into play with pulling this information together? And certainly, I mean, the city is about our citizenry, our businesses working together, everyone to make Suffolk a better place to be. But how are the citizens going to play a part in this whole process that we're kind of talking about with what we'll be doing here?
Well, we have an advisory committee that's already been formed.
Okay.
There's city staff representing departments that would use this data.
Yes.
But then we have a great group of really involved citizens. We have representatives from Nansemond Preservation Alliance, Nansemond River, the Suffolk Partnership for a Healthy Community, and then we have a citizens group that's interested in parks and open space in the Nansemond River watershed. And they really kind of started this process for us and helped focus down on the Nansemond River. So now we're looking at the whole watershed. Isle of Wight County is also going to have some involvement.
Very good.
So it's something that we can use, you know, on a micro scale or a large scale. And there's, I think, there are already a lot of applications that we can see this is going to be useful for.
Really web itself out there for
the citizens will be involved all the way along.
Right.
The advisory committee will meet every other month. We'll look at goal setting. We'll look at data and maps as we get them. And then we'll schedule additional forums when we have maps for people to react to.
Very good. Very good. Now, Karen, talk about who else is part of your team. I believe you're working
Sure.
in conjunction with the University of Virginia as well. Maybe some other players mixed in there as well?
Yes, well, we had the funding actually comes from the U.S. Forest Service, which might sound unusual. Why would the U.S. Forest Service be interested in Suffolk?
Right.
Well, they're very interested not only in rural areas and forests, but also urban canopy. So they want to make sure that Virginia is as green as possible. And for lots of goals, for water quality protection, air quality, all the different benefits trees provide. They provided money to the Department of Forestry, and then they allocated us a grant to work with 10 communities in Virginia. And they applied competitively in Suffolk won. And as you just said, the citizens were a big part of that, saying, let's get involved with this.
Sure.
This is some help that we can use. In our team, you know, we have GIS analysts and foresters and planners and those types of folks in our office. And then I teach at the University of Virginia.
Yeah.
So when I see a city like Suffolk with lots of neat opportunities, they came to the city and said, would you mind if we brought a few graduate students in here and let them experiment and learn and maybe come up with some fresh ideas. They've already done some graphics that I'm over 40 and I didn't know that we could do that with graphics. So they've always got new tools and ideas, and so that's another perspective we are bringing into this project. But in terms of some of the applications, and I'll give you a couple of just simple factoids.
Sure.
If we're looking at, say, downtown redevelopment or increasing the business district success, street trees help with that. So we might look at some streets and say that would be worth writing a grant proposal for, or trying to put some street trees in there. People shop longer and pay more per item in tree-lined areas. Offices rent sooner and for a better profit margin. Trees also uptake anywhere from 700 to 3,000 gallons of stormwater per tree per year. So we can start to look at all of these benefits and then figure out where strategically should we put our efforts. In terms of the community, not everything gets done by the city. I mean, the city doesn't own most of the land. It's privately owned.
You're right.
We make great plans here, but a lot of the solutions might be at someone's backyard level, you know, replacing some of their lawn with maybe some plants that are good for pollinators. Bees are in trouble. Butterfly-friendly plants, some things that you can do in your own backyard. You know, we can't put enough street trees in Suffolk to really radically change the runoff. People are going to need to put them in their yards. So there's going to be a lot of citizen-based solutions, citizen volunteerism, as well as the business community.
Sure.
There are a lot of things that they can participate in. So we're going to be very creative in looking at what we need to do, and then who are all the players that can come in.
And I think both of you touched on it. The word community really comes into play here. Like you said, it's not just the public side, the governmental side of things, but the private side, where, as you noted, it could be someone's backyard, could be someone's business or something that could a small entity in the overall scheme of the city of Suffolk. I mean, geographically, we're very large, and we do have a lot of open space, but there's space that's already been eaten up, so to speak. So again, what are we doing with that, and how can we maybe use the information that's provided to improve or make little changes that might have big differences? So make a big impact. So.
Yeah,
And then,
this is
yes.
going to be great for identifying maybe some opportunities that we don't currently know exist, and,
right.
and a lot of that is getting better data.
Sure.
So that we can find opportunities, maybe working with a business or a homeowner to save a piece of open space or replant something or put a trail somewhere that we just haven't found yet.
Right. Very good. Very good. So again, is the process underway? Is it safe to say that now, or are we still in the formative stages for kind of getting things going? Where does it stand right now?
This is really, I think, the kickoff. We've had an initial meeting and some training with Karen and her staff, and with we've met with the students and looked at some of their initial ideas, and then we're going to take all those ideas to the public and get their reaction. And then from there, we're going to talk about goal setting. We're going to look at the data as they analyze it and get things back to us and react to that. And as we work through that process, again, we'll have opportunities where we'll bring the greater public back in. Here's some maps. How do you feel about these? Or do these look like good ideas, or don't they?
Right.
And then, of course, once we get to the end, we'll have a formal presentation of the final product.
Exactly. And of course, as everybody said, it's a win-win for everyone involved. I mean, whether you're talking about residents, businesses, the city as a whole, looking at projects both big, small, and again, not knowing the true impact of what we're going to be able to do once this work is done, because again, it can kind of spread out and branch out in different departments, different areas, I guess it's limitless, I guess, what you could possibly achieve.
It's data.
Yes.
So, you can do so many things with data.
Yeah, indeed.
And it doesn't have, as Karen said, we're not coming up with a study and we have a report and we put it on a shelf and we're done. We're going to take this data and incorporate it into lots of other things throughout the city: public works, parks and rec, planning, anybody else that may be able to make it useful.
Another example is we've worked with a lot of communities to help attract businesses to locate in their communities. By using this information, having a strategic look, we can show them that Suffolk is committed to being green, successful, livable, safe, all of the things that a lot of businesses are looking for. So we can help you with that marketing and messaging to not only do a better job with the new information, but actually use it to attract the kind of businesses that you want, grow your economy, that kind of thing.
Very good. Well, Karen, thank you both for being with us today to talk about this very important topic. Looking forward to the exciting information that will be coming out of this project. And again, thank you both for spending time with us today.
All right, our pleasure.
We will have more On the Scene when we return. Welcome back to On the Scene. We're joined now by a guest who's been with us a few times over the years. We have Linda Bunch, the Executive Director at the Suffolk Art League. Thanks for being with us.
I'm delighted to be back.
Well, we are happy to have you, and we want to start out by saying we're happy and want to congratulate you on your recent Alley Award for your contributions to both Suffolk and the Hampton Roads community and the art world. Just tell us a little bit about what the award's about and what does it mean to you?
Well, the Cultural Alliance of Greater Hampton Roads annually gives out the Alley Awards, and there are a number of categories. And the category that I was fortunate enough to win the award was the Arts Professional.
Very nice.
It also honors businesses, volunteers, and then some statewide arts leaders as well. The Cultural Alliance is a regional, primarily an advocacy organization, also provides professional development for the many arts and cultural and nonprofits in general across the region. And it was a tremendous honor to be recognized by your peers. I think is one of the greatest things. And I was also very pleased that my board, the Suffolk Art League Board of Directors, felt that I was a strong enough candidate to even nominate me, because the Art League Board did nominate me for the award. It's sort of like the Academy Awards. You get nominated, but you don't know whether you win until that night. So
they put the camera on you and waiting for the reaction, right?
Yes, that's the way it works. But primarily for the Seven Cities, One Book project that we were on your show before talking about, which was a regional initiative. And I'm pleased to say we're going to do that again in September of 16. So keep an eye out for information.
We'll have you back when I talk. Indeed, yes.
So.
Well, again, congrats, and again, thank you for all you do for the art scene, like we said, especially in Suffolk, but also for the area as a whole.
Well, that was nice that I could bring some recognition back to Suffolk, because often the Norfolk, Virginia Beach, Williamsburg, venues get the awards. So it's really a pleasure to be able to put Suffolk on the map.
And thank you for sharing that with the community too. You know, we
Yeah.
appreciate that approach there. Well, of course, talking about what you do, we have several programs and events and things that are going on at the Suffolk Art Gallery, courtesy of the Suffolk Art League. And I guess there's a juried exhibition that's currently on display right now, correct?
That is correct. This is the Art League's major exhibit of the year. It's our annual juried exhibition, which means that artists submit work. We have an outside juror who was Amy Oliver from Richmond this year. And she selected the work not only for the exhibit, but we also had 20 award winners this year. Of course, we had first, second, and third, but we solicit awards from businesses and individual memorial awards, and people were very generous this year. So we had 20 awards to give out.
Now, is there a theme that kind of goes across, or is it sort of open-ended?
It's very open.
It is, okay.
We do not select a theme. We want artists to submit their best work
Okay.
in whatever theme that is. And we have artists from all over the region, as well as northeastern North Carolina, who enter. So from Williamsburg and Richmond, and we even have a couple of Suffolk natives who live in the Washington, D.C. area who still come down every year and submit work. So we even go beyond that. But this year, our first place winners were Robin and Julia Rogers, who are glass artists. Of course, the Hampton Roads area is becoming very well known for their glass. Julia teaches at TCC, the Visual Arts Center in Portsmouth, and Robin is with the Chrysler Museum in their hot glass studio. They're connected with the Chrysler. And they have 3 works that are absolutely magnificent. 2 of the pieces are figurative, are heads that are individually made. They are not molded, they are individually made. And the third piece is a beating heart that actually has a sensor in it, so the closer you get to it, the faster it beats, and the farther away you get, it slows down, just like our heart does.
Right, right.
So,
Now, this is all these works we're talking about with this exhibition on display at the Suffolk Art Gallery over there on Bosley Avenue.
that's
Now,
correct.
what are the hours of operation? When can people come by? And the fact that it's no charge to come by to take a look, right?
It's absolutely free. The exhibit is up through January the 14th.
Okay.
Our hours are Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 5 and Sundays 1 to 5. And of course, with the holidays coming up, you might want to call
Right. make
on
sure.
the weekends just to make sure that we're open.
Very good, very good. And again, it's a great partnership with the Art League and also with Suffolk Parks and Recreation, who manage the facility there. So again, a great relationship there.
Absolutely. A wonderful relationship.
And we talk about relationships, and I think the next event I'd like to talk about is where students have a chance to get involved and submit some work, and that's coming up in January. And this is another annual thing, and this is both for Suffolk Public School students, private students, or homeschool students, I believe, right?
Absolutely. We work with a grant from the Suffolk Fine Arts Commission, and of course it's held at the gallery, which, as you stated, was a Parks and Rec facility. So it is a great partnership, and with the school system. The students have to be in grades 10, 11, and 12. They must submit 2 pieces, and the work comes in the end of January, and the exhibit is open during the whole month of February. And again, this is a juried exhibit, so the students have to submit work, but they may not all make it in the show.
Correct.
We'll usually have a little over 200 pieces entered and maybe a little over 100 in the show. But students, again, they have to be in grade levels 10, 11, and 12, homeschooled, public, private school. Even if they go to a private school out of Suffolk, as long as they live in Suffolk, they are eligible to enter work.
And again, when do they have the deadline to turn their entries in? I mean, because I know that's coming up. You said the exhibition itself is in February, correct? But I guess they have till sometime in January to submit?
It's Thursday, January the 21st from 9 to 5, and they need to bring the work to the gallery on Bosley Avenue.
Very good, very good. And again, a great opportunity for these students to get their work out there, get a chance to see how they kind of mix and match with other people, their peers, and a great way to showcase the talent that we have in Suffolk. And I think every year when the exhibition is on display, you get a really chance to see what people are capable of doing.
And we have some extremely talented students here. Alex Mann, who's a curator at the Chrysler Museum, will be our juror this year. Again, we want to get somebody who's not familiar with our students to come in, so it's as honest as we can make it. And it's always one of the best shows that we have. I really think it is. And we have people who come just for that show. If they don't come to any other show we do at the gallery, they come to the Exhibit of Excellence every year because it's always such a wonderful show.
Well, I think the title says it all, Exhibit of Excellence, correct? Now, one thing that's really unique that you're able to do through the Art League is kind of partner up with other exhibits and things that are in the area. And there's a Rodin exhibit that's going to be at the Virginia Museum, I believe. Is that correct?
That is correct. It is currently open
Okay.
at the Virginia Museum.
Yes.
And of course, Rodin was a sculptor, and so we are planning to do a number of things in conjunction with that. One is Virginia Museum of Fine Arts also has these marvelous speakers. So Jeffrey Allison, who is an education curator at the Virginia Museum, will be down, and we're partnering with Lake Prince Woods, our retirement community on Kings Fork Road, and they are hosting the lecture, and that will be on Thursday, February the 18th at 7 o'clock. It is free and open to the public. You do not have to call in advance, so we just invite you to come to the lecture. And Jeffrey will be talking not only about Rodin and his sculpture, but also about the art of his time, as well as what was going on in history at that time, sort of tying it all together. So that should be very interesting.
Yes.
Then with the Parks and Rec and the gallery, we're going to actually take a bus excursion up to Richmond to see the exhibit, and that will be in March.
We'll put
March
that
the
at
10th. There it
10th.
is.
Okay, there we go.
March the
Okay.
10th, and we'll be leaving from the gallery that morning, and it's just a day trip. So we're going to go up. There are plenty of wonderful restaurants in the museum to have lunch, and we will have a tour of the exhibit and then be back that evening. We're also, just for fun, having a sculpture workshop. An educator from TCC, Tony Merrill, is going to do a plaster sculpture workshop. A lot of people think of Rodin's stone marble sculptures
right.
and his cast metal sculptures, but he did a lot of work in plasters, and a bunch of those will be on exhibit at the Virginia, or are on exhibit at the Virginia Museum. So we're going to give everybody a chunk of plaster, and she's going to talk about how to carve and sculpt and create a sculpture of their own in the ideas of Rodin. So we have a whole package. You can create your own work, go to see his work, or just come here lecture about it.
A great connection and a great utilization of resources that you and, again, tapping into the partnership with Parks and Recreation to get people from point A to point B. And you mentioned it, workshops and classes. I think the Suffolk Art League is certainly known for those. And they're going on pretty much year round. And I know there's traditionally a discount if you're an Art League member.
Absolutely.
So it's a chance for you to give a little plug here. But just the fact of what types of things, and I know there's a multitude of them, but I mean, it really covers all walks of life, so to speak, in the art world, doesn't it?
It really does, and we are just so pleased at the Art League. This summer we were able to actually hire a part-time education coordinator, Beth Netz, who has just done a fabulous job of setting up classes. And one reason for hiring Beth is we are the Suffolk Art League, not the downtown Suffolk Art League. So we wanted to expand our programs out into the other communities. And so we have developed partnerships, which we survive on partnership, with a number of other groups in the northern areas of Suffolk. So in January, we will actually begin doing classes at the North Suffolk Library, also at the Crossings, which is a retirement community there in North Suffolk, and at the Swim Club, which is part of the Harborview area.
Development, right, exactly.
Harborview development.
Yes, ma'am.
So we'll have classes and workshops in several locations and for all ages. Fortunately, working with the library, we are able to offer all of those programs for free.
Wow.
You do have to register.
Okay.
You do
Gotta
have
know
to
how many
register.
people are coming, because I know you're
Yes.
limited on spots sometimes.
Yes, we need to know how much materials and that
Correct.
kind of thing. So you do have to register, but all the ones with the library, because of our partnership with them, we're able to offer for free. So we really want to introduce ourselves to the North Suffolk community. And all of the information on our classes, probably the best thing is just to go to our website, which is just suffolkartleague.org. And of course, we're not giving up on downtown, so we still have lots of classes in at the gallery. So we'll continue with pastel and painting and drawing and a number of one-day workshops in jewelry and clay and all kinds of things. So, and as you mentioned, there is a discount if you're a member, and membership information is also on our website. We do have a student membership, so if you're a college student or a high school student, then so there is a discounted student membership if you want to get that discounted rate for classes, and then individual, family, and of course, the donor and benefactor levels as well. But we appreciate all of our members at whatever level they are.
Now, Linda, I know we just have probably about 30 seconds left to go in the program, but I want to give a chance. If somebody wanted more information, you mentioned the website, and we'll have that address up there. Phone number. How can they get a hold of someone with the Art League?
The office phone number is 757-925-0448. And I also want to just give the gallery number.
Please.
Because we work so closely together. If you need information on their programs or our programs, you can go either way.
Right.
So they're 757-514-7284.
Good.
So
Okay.
either one of those will work.
All right, we're looking forward to it. Again, the website, a great resource because of the multitude of classes and activities and everything I think we talked about is there. So it's a great way that if you're thinking about registering for something, be it a class or want to enter into one of the events and things that you have throughout the year, great way to keep up with it on that website. So Linda, thank you for spending time with us today.
Always a pleasure. Thank you very much.
And congratulations again on the alley.
Thank you.
And we appreciate you bringing that back again, as we said, to the Suffolk community.
I was glad to do it.
Very good. Thanks again.
Thank you.
And that will do it for this edition of On the Scene. I'm your host, Tim Kelly. We will see you next time.